WIBTA for blowing up a marriage and making a kid fatherless? My friend Sarah was casually seeing a guy, Pat, for several months after meeting through mutual friends. He wouldn't let her come to his house because he claimed he was caring for his grandma with dementia, and he refused to share his last name, saying he was a private person due to his job in the military. Sarah trusted him because their mutual friends backed up his stories. Recently, one of their friends hinted that Sarah should dig into his personal life. She then discovered that Pat is married with a kid. Furious, she confronted him, and Pat admitted everything. They're no longer in contact, but now she is torn about whether to tell Pat's wife about the affair. I'm posting this for a friend who isn't on Reddit to get advice. We don't know what to do about this situation. I'll be sharing this post in the comments with her. Throwaway account for obvious reasons with fake names. My friend knows she was stupid and is embarrassed about this whole thing, so please don't come at her for that. She just wants to try and do the right thing. My friend Sarah, 20F, started seeing this guy, Pat M, 29, for regular hookups after they met through mutual friends. They both wanted something casual, so it suited them. This continued for several months. However, Sarah told me a bunch of info about this guy that made me very suspicious from the beginning. Firstly, Pat wouldn't let her come to his house at all. Apparently, he was living with his grandma, who had dementia, and he was very worried about having a random person in the house upsetting his grandma. Secondly, he refused to give out his surname because he's a very private person who worked in the armed forces. All this screamed to me that he was hiding something, but my friend wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt as they got along so well, and she enjoyed his company. Also, all their mutual friends, who had known him longer than her, corroborated his stories. This group of men all said they also didn't go to his house because of the grandma with dementia, and it was normal for Pat not to share personal info because he was in fact a very private person. Well, it turns out that Pat has a wife and kid. One of the guys in the friend group told Sarah that she needed to find out about Pat's situation and that she should use social media to do some digging. He also confirmed Pat's surname for her. Sarah found Pat's wife that night. Sarah was obviously pissed and embarrassed that she fell for his lies and immediately confronted him over the phone. He fessed up straight away, no pushback, and they're no longer talking. Now, Sarah and I are trying to decide if it would be the right thing to tell Lisa. We feel like Lisa absolutely deserves to know. The only thing stopping Sarah from reaching out to Lisa is the kid. Pat told her that his kid was all that mattered in the world to him, and that if his wife found out, then she would stop him from seeing the kid. Sarah doesn't want to be responsible for catalyzing the breakup of a family and another fatherless child in the world. So, from Sarah, WIBTA, if I told Lisa her husband had an affair, edit for info, we're in the UK. I think most responses are talking about American custody laws. I don't know if us being in the UK changes much, but just thought it was important. Second, edit for more info as it keeps getting asked. Sarah is no longer speaking to any of the friends. Also, she doesn't really know if he is in the military or not, because the only way she knows that is that he told her, which could also be a lie. Relevant comments. Commenter, he has custody rights he could pursue in a divorce. The boy wouldn't be fatherless. This seems like a BS line to try to guilt Sarah into not telling his wife. Commenter, he is a proven liar and cheater. Why should she believe anything he says? This man has created a backstory and engaged his friends in helping find a cheating partner. I'd want to know if I were his wife. Commenter, but if has custody of his kid, then it will be so much harder to find time to sleep with tons of women. It is much easier to sleep around when his wife is there to take care of the kid, and he can just see the kid when he feels like being the fun parent. Don't you understand how hard it will be on Pat if he has to be fully responsible for a child? Commenter, if he cared about his kid more than getting laid, he wouldn't be in the position he's in. Is he also such a piece of crap that he wouldn't want shared custody if he got divorced? Wife needs to know because he and his friends have this story down pat, and Sarah wasn't the first and won't be the last. Story 4. IF30. Feel like I've been being abused by my partner, M35, for years, and just now realizing it. My partner, M35, has always had anger issues, punching holes in walls, yelling, breaking things, slamming doors, saying hurtful words, etc. We had 2 kids. I grew up in an abusive household all my life, so I really just thought everyone had some form of these problems. But after my second son, I started to feel disconnected from my partner. I didn't want to have sex. I wasn't engaging much anymore. I felt I had no friends or no one to talk to. I never told anyone much about what went on in the home. He would flip out, and there were times he put his hands on me, my throat, or held me down to the floor. He would say sorry and cry and tell me something was wrong with him. I would forgive him, and then 2 months later it happened again. I was at a really low part of my life during this time, so I was easily controlled. IDK what happened in me, but I snapped. He ended up trying to hurt me one day, and before he got me down I beat him with a broomstick. I left a couple marks on him. He instantly called the cops, and I was handcuffed in front of my babies and put in jail. I couldn't come home for weeks, ever since then. I don't give a fuck. I lost weight, feel more confident, work 2 jobs, and realize I can take of my own without anyone. So I stopped caring, responding, or expecting any out of him. Even when things were calm and good, I just didn't think it was genuine anymore. It's all a lie. I got my hair done and we were fighting. IDK what about anymore? But I came home and we were going back and forth. He took a bottle of water and poured it on my head and told me my hair was ugly, just to be mean. I kicked him out and he's been gone for 2 weeks. He calls every day, multiple times a day, texts, etc. He says he's going to take my kids from me and all kinds of other things. IDK how to get out of this, and I'm scared. Did I make the right choice? Nobody knows what was going on, so it just seems like I'm doing this for nothing. Relevant comments. Commenter, girl, listen to me. You absolutely made the right choice. Ain't no seems like about it. You're stepping out of the shadows of abuse, and that's nothing but strength right there. You've been living in an environment no one should ever have to endure. It's not just about the physical harm. It's about reclaiming your peace and your sanity. Those calls and threats, classic control tactics. Keep documenting everything. Get yourself some legal advice, find a support group, and never underestimate the power of a restraining order. You're doing this for your safety, your kids, and your future. Don't look back. Except to remind yourself how far you've come. You got this, and it's time everybody else knows it too. Stay strong, Queen. Thank you for sticking around until the end. If you liked our videos, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to keep up with our latest content. Have a wonderful day. Story 2. Ada for telling my dad's new wife the truth about his first family. I'm 25 and my dad is 53. We've had a rocky relationship since he left when I was 10, leaving my mom to raise me and my 2 younger siblings alone. Growing up, he'd pop in sporadically, promising the world, only to disappear as soon as he got caught up in whatever new life he'd built. He's remarried twice, and we were used to being forgotten. Recently, he married Grace, who's only 28. She reached out to me a few months ago, eager to bond with everyone and start a blended family. She was super enthusiastic, which I found odd given my dad's history, but I agreed to meet her out of curiosity. Over lunch, she kept bringing up how she wanted to build connections, and hinted that my dad doesn't talk about his past much. I tried to keep things light, but she kept pressing, saying she wanted the full picture. After she insisted a few times, I finally told her what she was missing, how he'd abandoned us, barely showed up to milestones, and left my mom struggling. I also mentioned his affair, which led to the divorce. Grace went pale, saying she felt deceived and needed to rethink things, especially since she wants kids with him. My dad found out and exploded, calling me vindictive and accusing me of ruining his marriage out of resentment. He said I'd sabotaged his chance at happiness and insisted his past doesn't define him now. Since then, Grace has been silent and my dad won't speak to me. I'm torn. Did I go too far by being brutally honest? Should I have let her believe in his family man persona, or was it fair to tell her the truth? Ada? Relevant comments. Commenter, NTA. If he didn't want people to know about he treated his first family, he probably shouldn't have treated y'all that way. You did the right thing. Grace is young and has her whole life ahead of her. She deserves to know who, exactly, she was thinking of having a family with. OP, I really did feel that Grace deserved to know the truth before making huge decisions, like having kids with him. I keep thinking about how different my own childhood could have been if he'd been upfront about his priorities back then. But it's hard because he's furious now, and I'm starting to wonder if I shared too much, too soon. I just didn't want her to walk into a future with him, blindsided by the reality that we went through. Commenter, she sought you out and asked direct questions. I'm not sure how any of this is your fault. As usual, your dad is making his failures everyone else's problem. OP, she did ask, and I only shared what I thought she deserved to know. I feel torn, though, because he's still my dad, and part of me wonders if I should have just stayed quiet. But then I think about her, so young and optimistic about their future, and I didn't want her trapped in a life based on half-truths. It's messy, but I think she has a right to make informed choices. Story 3. I, 45M, am wondering how to approach a situation with my wife, 48F, regarding communication with her ex-boyfriends. Okay, this might be a little long because I don't know how to explain the situation any other way. I've been married to my wife for over 10 years. Overall, our relationship is good. Our day-to-day is great. We have good chemistry, and I really do feel content outside of what I'm about to describe. I'm a happy guy. She seems happy, but I've found at least a couple of instances where she has betrayed my trust, and it really bothers me. To start, about 5 years ago, she went on an out-of-town trip with some friends. One night, she was non-responsive, and I didn't hear from her until later the next day. I did some digging and figured out she had snuck out to visit a friend. Turns out it was an ex-boyfriend. This visit was around 3 a.m. in the morning, and later I was able to find some messages that sickens me to this day. Here are some excerpts. Him, We'll have to do this again. Her. Where? On a deserted island. Him. Maybe? Her. I'll disconnect the GPS on my phone. I have one regret. I think this is the last time I will ever see you. I regret not just going for it and laying it on you like the night we met. Him. I would have felt bad. I don't know your husband, but I couldn't have done that to him, and we'll see each other again. Her. No, I wouldn't have felt bad. Just one kiss. That's it. No big deal. Now I feel like it's perfect, because I think there is a spark there. Mutual admiration. And it can never be tarnished or ruined by a breakup or divorce, and I think that's really cool. Burt Reynolds wrote a book, and he said his biggest regret was letting Sally Field go, and that was the love of his life. What I've learned from our time together, we have way more in common than we did 15 years ago. When I found these messages, they stung like a bitch. There is more to it, but they are words that your wife says to another man that cannot be forgotten. I've forgiven her since, and she's apologized, but to think that she wouldn't feel bad and feels like this ex is her biggest regret just bothers the fuck out of me. Okay, I've let it go. Mostly, but not forgotten. The next thing I'm going to say is going to sound crazy, but it's not a deal breaker for me, even though it bothers me. Not long after this happened with her ex, she told me she is no longer interested in having sex with me. I am not one to push it. My response was, I want to have sex with you. I'm attracted to you, but I respect your decision. It's kind of fucked, but I get by. So it's been about 4-5 years since we've had sex. Some context that matters in my opinion. So, to the present day issue, this issue with her ex-boyfriend I described previously was super sickening, but I got past it mostly. Forgiven but can't forget. About a year ago, she told me another different ex-boyfriend contacted her wanting to talk. She said they talked on the phone. I checked the phone records shortly after and found they talked about 3 hours total. I expressed my displeasure with this and said nothing good comes from it. She agreed. I left it at that. A few days ago, I saw a Reddit post about Burt Reynolds and Sally Fields and about his biggest regret. It bothered me clearly. I started to doubt my wife for no reason other than history. I checked our phone records, and she has been talking to this other ex-boyfriend over the past year from time to time, totaling a talk time of about 12 hours. I don't even know how much they are talking over Instagram/Facebook/. Whatever. This is after I expressed my displeasure with the situation, and she agreed. All late at night after I'm in bed, and in my opinion behind my back. I feel disrespected and am at a loss. I don't want to divorce. I want to talk to her about it, but I haven't. I am not in the mood to go there. She keeps asking me why I'm so grumpy. I just don't want to talk to her. I have a hard time even looking her in the eye. She hasn't talked on the phone with this ex-boyfriend in 2 months, but I still am not convinced they aren't talking over some other media type. At this point, I have no idea who she is talking to. This sucks so bad. Some additional context. I'm a good husband. I am not perfect, but my wife calls me the best person she has ever known. Her words, lies? I feel like physically I should be desirable, even though my wife shows me no physical affection. I'm tall, dark hair, blue eyes, sort of a dad bod, but not overweight or fat. It's sad to think I would have an easier time having sex with a stranger than with my wife. I drink beer and get a buzz on the Friday nights, but I don't go out. I don't womanize. I have never even come close to cheating. So I am totally and completely faithful to my wife. I have no problem saying in complete confidence, and my wife would fully agree, I'm a good guy. I say all this because there are 2 sides to every story. I haven't reached out to ex-girlfriends or jeopardized our relationship in any way. My conscience would not allow it. I do love my wife. I just don't feel like I'm enough for her. I feel disrespected. I feel betrayed. So any reasonable advice would be appreciated. I know I need to talk to her about the recent communications with another ex-boyfriend. It pisses me off so much. I feel so bad about even having to go there. I'm afraid where this may go, but I will do it. But first, I'd like some relationship advice. TLDR, my wife has disrespected me in the past with an ex, emotional affair in my opinion, and over the past year has talked with an ex-boyfriend behind my back. I really just need some advice or some words to help me forward. Relevant comments. Commenter, let's get this straight. She will no longer have sex with you. Bit clearly still has sexual feelings. She constantly is in contact with past lovers and lies about it. Sorry, dude, but there's a lot going that you don't know about. Commenter, you're gonna have to divorce her because she doesn't love you like you love her. She messed around with her ex on purpose. You don't find it weird that all her exes randomly contact all of a sudden? If you divorce her, she gonna go running to one of her ex-boyfriend, and she gonna find out that the grass isn't greener on the other side, especially with the new climate of dating, which is completely different from when she was younger.